Hello, hello, hello! It's Mike Celestino from Inside the Magic, and I'm here at Disneyland. Wait a minute, this isn't Disneyland. It's just a model of Main Street, USA at Disneyland, and I'm here at the giant Van Eaton Galleries exhibit called That's from Disneyland. As you can see by this big sign over here, That's from Disneyland, a pop-up exhibit and auction. And there are way more people here than I was expecting. This has been open for a couple weeks. I just haven't had time to make my way over, but now that I'm here, I'm just shocked by the sheer number of people who are exploring and looking at all these items. I've been to the Van Eaton Gallery's main exhibit house in Sherman Oaks here in Southern California, and each time I've gone previously, it hasn't been very crowded at all. In fact, I'm often the only person there. So I thought this week I'd come over and we'd do the episode of Inside Disneyland Resort, not from Disneyland, from the very first time, and we just take a look around this exhibit at all this cool stuff. We got models, posters, a bunch of ride vehicles, one-of-a-kind stuff. This giant D over here against the wall is from the Disneyland Hotel. Let's begin at the beginning. I'm not going to go too far. I'm going to start over here, and we'll kind of wander our way through in an orderly fashion and look at all this stuff on display here, up for auction. And if you are interested in buying any of this, it's all available from Van Eaton Galleries. If you just Google that, here's that model again. And we got some signage over here from Pleasure Island. That's down in Walt Disney World, of course. This is a concept art print of that famous Herb Ryman Disneyland concept art. And then you got some more signage from the parks. A bunch of pamphlets. Disneyland closes sign. Here's a pin display. And then this area is a lot of attraction poster artwork, and in this case over here there's just some postcards and other stuff. Then you've got all this original artwork. There's just so many people here that it's almost kind of hard to navigate. I'm really taken aback by the difference between this exhibit and what I've seen before at Van Eaton Galleries, because I'm used to, again, just being alone in that room with all that stuff, and now it's just hugely popular. I think this one has gotten a lot more press than some of their previous exhibits and auctions. So these are a bunch of different maps of Disneyland through the years. These souvenir poster maps from a bunch of different eras of the park. Okay, but the first really interesting piece that they've got here is this Global Van Lines truck, which according to the sign here is designed by Bob Gurr in the 1960s, very famous Imagineer, and it was used in Disneyland and then transformed into a static display in the 1970s. So that's cool. This is familiar to anyone who visited the park during that era, and they've got it up for sale here. Then on this side, around the corner, here's an Adventureland Cantina sign. That's cool. Another display. These are a lot of souvenirs from the park. this is actually really cool. This is the pipe organ from the Swiss family treehouse at Disneyland, prior to it becoming the Tarzan Treehouse. See by this sign here. Some more history of this item. So I think that's going to be a popular one, and it's looking a little run down, but you would expect that. It hasn't been in the park for a couple decades, so they haven't been upkeeping it. Whoever had that in their collection, it's just kind of been sitting without the kind of maintenance that you would expect. This is another really impressive piece. This giant letter D. You can see the scale of the people walking around and taking their pictures with it. And this used to be at the top of the Disneyland Hotel. Here's a sign explaining this one here. Some more artwork over here, some signage from the parks. It's kind of a bird's eye view shot of the park there. This one is a window display from a department store with figures from Cinderella trying on the glass slipper there, the wicked stepsisters. More souvenirs on display. This is an ice cream cart from Disneyland. Huey, Dewey, and Louie. This is actually from Walt Disney World, so it made its way here from Florida. More signage and art there. Then you got this big Davy Crockett Explorer canoe, which is from the 1990s, according to the sign over there. But it has survived and made its way into a private collector's hands. Got this postcard dispenser with artwork by Mark Davis. This is pretty cool. The Country Bear Playhouse entrance sign. Disneyland. This was from 1988. And some more merch you could buy. Here's some more attraction posters. Got a Big Thunder Ranch sign. Look at that. The much missed Big Thunder Ranch is gone now in favor of them building Star Wars Galaxy's Edge down at the park. Some signage from the parks over here from some of the restaurants. Curious about this animatronic dog. So this was from the Rivers of America Indian settlement animatronic dog from the 1960s, so that's cool. I didn't recognize it. Must not have been in the park recently. They've replaced those animatronics with some more advanced ones over the years, of course. Kind of a lifesaver from the Mark Twain riverboat. That's cool. More artwork. And we'll get to these ride vehicles in a minute, but there's another cool thing over here. There's a refurbished, restored Audio-Animatronic from Walt Disney's Enchanted Tiki room. This is Jose.
There's a lot of bridge waiting to go on. For instance,
got the entire song, the whole soundtrack there ready to go. He sings, he talks, he dances. Here's reproductions of the Tiki Room drummers on both sides there. Some more merchandise. Now here's a cool model of the Progress Land Pavilion from the 1964 World's Fair, and this would eventually inspire the Carousel of Progress in Disneyland and Walt Disney World. So that's cool. You can see footage of that over here. A bunch more attraction posters over here. Oh, this is a cool sign from Alien Encounter down at Magic Kingdom. So they've thrown in some Walt Disney World stuff in addition to all the Disneyland stuff. This is great. This is an original painting, not a copy, not a print, not a reproduction. This is a painting of the concept for the Star Tours attraction artwork. And the final artwork doesn't look exactly like that, but it's still cool to see how the Progress came along designing that art. So where we started, that was kind of like Disneyland in general. This is Frontierland where we had the canoe. Then we're moving into Tomorrowland. Oh, the other cool thing, that they've got all these parking lot signs. Look, here's Owl. And the sign here is describing, these are from the 1990s. So you got Owl right there, you got Thumper. And Happy. And Minnie. So these are all from the Disneyland parking lot before construction began on Disney California Adventure. Now, here's the really cool section. This is ride vehicles from Tomorrowland. This is the People Mover, of course. Also sorely missed from Disneyland. And the People Mover was replaced in the 90s by rocket rods. And we've got a rocket rod right here. Not a lot of people remember the rocket rods because they only lasted a couple years before going away. But here's a rocket rod vehicle, and I haven't seen one of these since I last went on the rocket rods before it shut down. So that's really cool to see. You have to wonder, like, is this one of the ones that I sat in on the handful of times I got to go on that ride? And sadly, they never brought back the People Mover, so the track is still there in plain sight at Disneyland. But the ride is not running. But here you can buy a People Mover vehicle. Put it in your home or your backyard or whatever you want to do. Then you got Space Mountain. Previous design of Space Mountain. The current design has like the Mickey-shaped speakers here behind the seats, behind the headrests. Here's the Astro Orbiter. Previously called the Rocket Jets. Sorry. And this is from the similar attraction called the Star Jets down at Walt Disney World. So here's another item from the Florida parks. So this is a very popular area of this exhibit. Naturally, you can take home a ride vehicle of your very own, which is a rare opportunity. Then you've got New Orleans Square, home of the Haunted Mansion, and these stretching room gallery portraits, all 4 of them there. And then a Doom Buggy. Ride vehicle. Some attraction artwork from New Orleans Square, Pirates of the Caribbean. There's this Hatbox Ghost. This is a light-up figurine that was made for the 50th anniversary of Disneyland. Then you've got an auctioneer figurine from Pirates of the Caribbean. Some more merchandise from the parks. And this is really cool. This is a door from the corridor of doors in the Haunted Mansion at Disneyland. So at some point the door was replaced, and this door ended up in a private collector's hands, and now it's up for sale at this auction. And here's another look at the Doom Buggy from the other side. And upon reading the sign a little bit closer, this Doom Buggy is actually from Walt Disney World, not from Disneyland. Just to clarify that. And then we move into Fantasyland. And there's a lot of cool stuff in this section, including this chair from Mr. Toad's Wild Ride. You've got a devil prop from Mr. Toad's Wild Ride. I've seen these at a few of these auctions before. And then you've got an actual ride vehicle from Mr. Toad's Wild Ride. This cool looking roadster, and this one's actually labeled Mr. Toad. So here's another vehicle you may have sat in at the park. And I'm not seeing an indication if this was from Disneyland or at Disney World. Oh yeah, this is from Walt Disney World. So this ride shut down a while ago at Disney World to make way for the Winnie the Pooh attraction, and the vehicle has ended up here at auction in Southern California. And then we've got some animatronics from It's a Small World at Disneyland. And they all seem to be working for the most part. Excited, thank you. And some more ride vehicles. We've got Peter Pan's Flight from Disneyland. Pretty cool to own that pirate ship. Ride vehicle. That's a pretty rare item indeed. This is a Fantasia broom fountain prop from Disney World, from Fantasia Gardens, it says. Some more attraction posters there. And then you've got a ride vehicle from Snow White's Scary Adventures. bashful car. And this is, of course, the Matterhorn. Bobsleds, you've got a few stuffed animals riding, like we did over there with rocket rods. Lots of hugging bears enjoying the Matterhorn from Disneyland. It's a cool King Arthur carousel sign over here. Got Dumbo with the feather. Some interesting looking figurines. Window display figures from Snow White. And more artwork. And before we get to the main attraction over here in this section, I want to show you this that I just noticed. This is really cool. This is from the Adventures Through Inner Space attraction that used to be at Disneyland. It's long since been replaced, but if you've ever seen film or video or images from that, you know, as you're waiting in the queue to go into the ride, you could see an illusion of the other riders going through kind of the shrinking machine and coming out the other side. And this is one of those models that you would see going into the attraction. And I think that's really, really sweet. And it's probably incredibly rare. So that's a cool thing to own. But let's look at this over here. This is, I actually saw this on display last year at D23 Expo, or part of it anyway, because Van Eaton Galleries had an exhibit there. But now they've got the entire thing assembled in this room, and it takes up a huge amount of space. As I walk all the way down to the other end, you'll see how very big it is. And if you ever went on the submarine voyage at Disneyland before it was the Finding Nemo submarine voyage, you probably saw this giant sea serpent down under the water, and it was animatronic, of course, to move his head back and forth. And here's his face. Submarine voyage sea serpent. Estimated to go for $30,000 to $50,000, and worth every penny. But where would you put it? I don't know who would have room for something like this. Maybe in your backyard. Excuse me, sorry. Just tremendous. And we've got a mermaid over here, probably not included with the sea serpent, but certainly a nice companion piece from the same attraction. Submarine voyage, animatronic mermaid. So that's just so cool. And that's pretty much it. Here's a Winnie the Pooh parking lot sign. But there's a tremendous amount of stuff here that I didn't show you. Lots of little details, lots of little pieces of artwork and figurines and merchandise, but they also have their official merchandise from the event. That's from Disneyland pop-up exhibit and auction. You can get a t-shirt for 25 bucks. Just like at the real Disneyland. They also have their own ears. Not quite in Mickey shape. Look more like little hearts than the mouse ears, but there's a whole gift shop type area. We can get some other t-shirts and ceramics and assorted memorabilia. And artwork from the animated films, very popular. There's a portrait of Mickey and Walt. It is really tough for me to walk around here because of the amount of people. And again, I was really taken aback by that because of my experience in the past going to these Van Eaton Gallery exhibits. There just haven't been this many people previously, and I'm glad to see how popular it is because they've always been very nice to us here at Inside the Magic, and hopefully people are buying things and this stuff is selling at nice prices. I've also seen some of these ride vehicles here before at the other location, and apparently they weren't sold last time, so hopefully they're finding the right kind of people who want to buy this stuff. But at the very least, it's worth coming out here to this pop-up exhibit and checking it all out. It's free to enter, 0 charge to enter. Of course, if you want to bid on something, that's going to cost you. And there's a lot of little stuff that's not quite as expensive as some of the major items, but if you want to own a piece of the Disney parks, this is the place to come. And here's what it looks like from the outside here. That's from Disneyland pop-up exhibit and auction. And it runs from now through August 24th, so you still have a little while to get out over here and check out that cool gallery, all those ride vehicles, props, models, artwork from Disneyland and Walt Disney World and other Disney memorabilia. Pretty sweet. If you live in Southern California and you're a Disneyland fan, I definitely recommend at least paying it a visit. And if you have the extra cash to spare, maybe pick something up. You can own part of theme park history. And this is Mike Celestina from Inside the Magic. Thank you so much for watching. Next time we'll be at the parks. See you real soon.